There's a continuous debate in the theme park industry about the importance of a current IP when you're building a current land in a theme park. Avatar comes to mind, and the fact that the Avatar films way predate the Avatar land out there at Walt Disney World's Animal Kingdom Park. Let's talk about whether or not Harry Potter Land at Epic Universe is going to be gangbusters regardless of the Fantastic Beasts films, and how Eddie Redmayne is going to be making his final appearance as Newt Scamander there in the middle of Wizarding Paris. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. There's an ongoing debate in the theme park space about the importance of IP and whether or not that IP has to be for a current movie that is like in theaters. In fact, when Bob Iger was talking about the investment they're going to make in the parks, the $60 billion to turbocharge, which is actually more like $30 billion, which is probably going to be less than $30 billion when it comes down to it. He was talking about how they don't want to announce what they're going to be spending that money on because a new IP might come out in the next couple of years and they will want to turbocharge with that new IP. And I think about some of the decisions that have been made over Disney specifically, and then over at Comcast's Universal theme parks here. Avatar, a great example of an IP that was just sitting there for a very long time. I think before Avatar 2 was announced, I forget the timeline on this. Anybody can feel free to correct me here. They announced Pandora, the World of Avatar, without the promise of an Avatar 2. It wasn't even a Disney IP at the time. It was technically a Fox IP, and Fox didn't have a theme park to put this in. The deal was with James Cameron specifically and Lightstorm Entertainment.
Yeah. I was going to say
right.
Lightstorm. Because it included John. Yeah.
Right. And you're talking about John Landau, who
he passed away.
May he rest in peace. Everyone that I have ever talked to that mentions John Landau says that he was a thoroughly pleasant person to work with and a great guy. So I just want to reemphasize that here. This isn't a comment on James Cameron or John Landau. The subject of IP in theme parks, though, I think is kind of a hot issue here, because you look at what was done over at the Harry Potter lands, and first of all, Hogsmeade, and then after that, Diagon Alley. They stopped making Harry Potter films a good long while ago. And then they started making Fantastic Beasts films. And Universal themselves, if you look at the things that they've put in their theme parks that are not Harry Potter, I mean, you got your, there's always a Transformers film on the horizon. You've got a fantastic Fantastic and Furious, Fast and Furious. Sorry, not necessarily your top tier IP when it comes to theme parks, but they definitely put one of those over there, Universal Studios Florida, and widely regarded as one of the worst attractions ever built with Fast and Furious Supercharged. But there's a surprising amount of news coming out about Fantastic Beasts recently. There's an article here. Jude Law says Harry Potter TV show likely means Fantastic Beasts is dead. J.K. Rowling gave him a note that Dumbledore sees himself as a monster. First of all, the note that Dumbledore sees himself as a bad person, that's a lot to chew on there for the Potterheads. But here he is, Jude Law as a Dumbledore. I still don't know at what point in Dumbledore's life he decided to go from a guy who wears posh suits and gave up and just said, you know what, I'm going to go with the bathrobe look for the rest of my life from here on out. But Jude Law coming out and talking about how he's going to be in Star Wars, and he doesn't think Fantastic Beasts has got anything left in the tank there. Also, Eddie Redmayne coming out of the woodwork. Eddie Redmayne on the future of Fantastic Beasts teases glimpse of Newt Scamander at Universal Epic Universe theme park. See, we're bringing this back to theme parks here. Eddie Redmayne talks about how there's essentially no activity on the rolling side for Fantastic Beasts films, because they went back and forth on how they were going to do it. First 3 Fantastic Beasts films, then 5 Fantastic Beasts films, now back to cutting it off at the 3rd Fantastic Beasts film. They recast Grindelwald. And how many actors playing Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts film? 1, 2, at least 3 different actors playing Grindelwald, 2 of them being just literal replacements for the existing actor, not like there was transfiguration or or some kind of polyjuice potion or something like that, and one that was story reasons. So sounds like Fantastic Beasts is gone, except for the fact that they're putting it in to this new land over here. And by the way, just to put the nail in the coffin on the idea that it's a Fantastic Beast lands, Universal Park News today has a baby Niffler there for $59. By the way, these are adorable, and I'm not saying anything about the product itself. I can see these things selling well, especially if you have the choice between a wand, an interactive wand, and a Niffler. But it looks like there is zero Fantastic Beasts branding on this. You have your Wizarding World logo, Warner Brothers logo, Universal Studios logo, and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Universal Studios logo on here. So I'm seeing a lot of interesting takes from people who don't understand how theme parks work and how IP relevance works, saying, why in the world are they doing a Fantastic Beasts land at Epic Universe? So the question I want to ask to you, wonderful experts on this, does it matter that Fantastic Beasts is a thing of the past when we're talking about Epic Universe? Is this relevant to the success of Epic Universe at this point?
No. I would think it really doesn't make that much of a difference. I mean, I think people have, realized with the opening of, Universal's prior Wizarding Worlds, that being the original Wizarding World in 2010, and then Diagon Alley, I think people have come to the conclusion that it's like, hey, it doesn't really matter what elements of the universe they take away and want to recreate. It's going to be done with quality. It's going to be done with class. It's going to be really some amazing stuff. So I don't think it really much matters what part that you actually take from it. Maybe that dims enthusiasm a little bit, but culture, am I wrong?
Well, no, I think you're 100% right. It's one of the reasons why, as we see in Epic Universe, we're going to have this amazing Ministry of Magic, right? And then I believe that you leave yourself open for the Fantastic Beasts show, right? You leave yourself open for a lot of these different elements that you can bring in later in expansions or other parks. I mean, it's more brilliant of them to spread it out across the globe or across multiple theme parks, because it gives people an incentive to go and enjoy the various aspects of that world in different places. But I would also suggest that Fantastic Beasts really didn't have the kind of support that the original franchise had with all of its depth. So, right. And I'm also believe that the cursed child is not exactly something that you should pursue, because so few people are actually genuinely interested in that. Maybe the real Potterheads out there, but you can bring almost any other element in, right? I mean, you can bring any other element in from any of the books. And immediately have that be not only recognized, but appreciated and perhaps celebrated if it's done properly. I don't see anything that they've done with this that isn't done properly, despite the fact that I really wish that the Hogwarts Express was done in a different way rather than that shuttle. But they did the best that they did the best that they could with that idea, with the given space that they had at the time, because they weren't quite prepared to surrender as much in the backstage as they would have had to make that work properly. So it's a different world, let's say.
Well, the funny thing, of course, about the Hogwarts Express is, I would say at this point, if you are curious about the Hogwarts Express, wait for a day that you have a park hopper pass, or if you are a pass holder. It's something that I would not, and this is great marketing on Universal's part, because they're trying to get you. This is why they put Diagon Alley in Universal Studios, because there's essentially not much in that park. They're working on it. There are things there. They've improved it a little bit, but if Diagon Alley wasn't there, I wouldn't currently recommend someone get a ticket to Universal Studios specifically. Right now, I don't know that the value is there when you have Islands of Adventure right there, but you have this wonderful themed conveyance between the two parks. It doesn't make sense going backwards back to Islands of Adventure or whatever the order is here, but it's a nice themed way to get from one park to the other. But if you're short for time, it is just as quick to walk, probably quicker if there is a line at all for the Hogwarts Express. But but I don't think people care at this point. I think that they want another Harry Potter land, which is probably why they didn't theme this to the Wizarding World of Paris. They themed this to Wizarding World Ministry of Magic to say, emphasize, blaring red light. This is Harry Potter here, Harry Potter.
And that's the thing too. This isn't just like the only Harry Potter experience that you can actually experience at Universal Orlando Resort, right? Not like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, for example, where that's the one and only Star Wars land. That's as much Star Wars as you're actually going to get. This is just one little slice of the Wizarding World on top of what we've already gotten, which was, I think, in people's minds, what they wanted to step into was Diagon Alley and the original Wizarding World. I think when you look at the Ministry of Magic side of things, it's like, ooh, I've always wanted to go there. This is a great brand new location in which amazing wizarding things can actually happen. Sign me up, because they kind of earned that, I think.
Yep, I agree. So I think that this is something that, as a person who enjoys theme parks, as a person who likes Harry Potter, I don't think there's going to be any problem with this land in any way. I think they're going to move just as much merchandise. I think there may actually be a more ignited interest in Fantastic Beasts from this land. And maybe there will be people examining that franchise again. I just have to remind you, the effects were great in that second film, but man, I'm going to have to go back and watch it to try to follow the plot again, because it really didn't hit for me. And I didn't even bother with the third one because I didn't feel like it was something that I should put my kids in front of. So maybe I'll go check it out at some point, because in the end, Harry Potter is a children's franchise. That's the kind of statement you make, and somebody always gets angry with you about it. Is there anything that we need to throw in here? I think your Star Wars comments are right on, by the way.
Well, yeah.
Just think about the money they could make if they did Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Tatooine, which, by the way, is on the Outer Rim. And put that in another park or another part of, since they're putting IP in everything, and they're putting, what is it, Xandar in the World Showcase. Go ahead, put Tatooine on there.
And I say this all the time. Just because a franchise doesn't maybe do well at the box office, or doesn't maybe have the cultural relevance that maybe Disney or any of these other theme park entities are looking for, doesn't mean that the execution is any less than what people maybe envision. There are, a host of different attractions, both at Disney and Universal, that maybe didn't do so well at the box office, but man, they are remembered for their attractions, and they are some of the best attractions at their respective theme parks. So that's another thing to keep in mind too. Just because it's Fantastic Beasts doesn't mean it's going to be done with any less quality, like we've emphasized here before.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.